Okay, so greetings to one and all. You are in tune to another Cosmic Roots show this evening on Bless Radio 1. Yes, you're here with Brother Siayome, aka at Unc Rem. And yes, gonna be talking on some things this evening relating to some astro stuff that I didn't get into last Tuesday. Sard, are you still there? Okay, it's cool. Um, so first, let you know what show you're actually tuned into. So here's the intro. So I guess I'll have to say to you, we're on. Yes, roots, reality of one's true self, cosmic roots. So, good evening, brothers, soul brothers and sisters. This is Brother Siayome here, aka Ab Unc Rem, and yeah, a few other aliases. Now, I trust y'all are feeling a bit drier indoors and so forth. Now, firstly, you're tuned in to Bless Radio 1. You can tune in to this through the TuneIn app or on www.blessradio.org. So, yes, um, last Tuesday I had a discussion uh, show with Brother Sard, and the topic was the non physical, spiritual, and physical visible you. Yeah. So, and I was going to go into some astrological breakdowns of the energies and the matterisms around the transits taking place here. A lot of things have come up, but I didn't talk about that last Tuesday. But it's okay because, wow, um, I'm going to get into some astro stuff, cosmic astro stuff this tonight. So, wow, a lot of energies, a lot of intensities, a lot of things hitting up for different people in different ways. A lot of energies you can feel in the collective consciousness that, you could feel weighing down on you if you're not kind of aware of your own, you making a choice. You don't have to own all the vibes around you. You got to decide the energy, what you're aligning with in yourself. So a lot of things that's been ramping up because we're dealing with the time, we're in the time of Kali, as they call it, which is destruction, which is really the changing form and composition of a pre-existing system and state of consciousness that now has to make room, or wait, not make room, make way for the new energy and the new day as we enter out of the Piscean age into the Aquarius age. So there's a lot of background energy, okay, that is the is basically the influencer, you can say, the catalyst of all of the things you see presenting themselves on the outer screen in society, in the world at large at this moment. So it's an ongoing, you can say, shift, if you want to put it this way. Um, so we had the full moon in Pisces, and prior to that, we had I was talking about a show which was called Karma, Time, and the Harvest. Okay. Now, the full moon we had in Pisces brought up a lot of things, triggers, but it was also like a cathartic um, energy as well, depending on where the individuals are at in themselves, what amount of clearing they've already done to be able to illuminate now and be more in tune with their soul self, must come through more. And so, what I'm going to talk about this evening is to do with the whole thing with Saturn now on the September the 19th has moved forward, moved direct. And in my previous two shows back, I did mention about judgment is getting ready to be commenced. And karma is another way of saying cause, the law of cause and effect, the spiritual universal laws, you see, that governs existence. So Karma is one of them, but it's really another way of saying causation, the principle of causation, cause and effect. So nature, the fundamental aspects of nature reflects this universal law to us in how, you know, we know seeds are sown, and the seeds that are sown, that which that is grown, is what you are going to bear. That's going to be the harvest. That's going to be the reaping. So you plant peas, you get peas. You plant corn, you get corn. You plant strawberries, you get strawberries. You plant mango, you get mango trees. You understand? So there's the cause and then the effect. You see? So these principles are just reflecting a universal truth when now it comes to our spiritual, mental, and physical and emotional states. You see, everything is energy. Thought is energy. Your emotions is energy. Your body is an energy field. You're a walking, living transmitter receiver. So you're a broadcast station, basically. Whether you're conscious of that or unconscious of that, you are a broadcast station. You're broadcasting the very vibrations which are based upon the emotions, the thoughts, and the feelings you walk around with, what you predominantly entertain. So these energies are going out, they radiate, and what you send out electrically comes back, returns to you emotionally or magnetically, okay? So this is where what's being sent out is returning back. And what you sent out could have been quite a while ago, and it's built up in a magnetic charge around it. And when it's built up enough, then it returns to the source. It returns to the source of which is the one who's been putting out, or the groups, individuals or groups that have been putting out a particular quality of energy based upon their mindset and what they're amplifying. Okay, so given an example, just to say this, to understand what I'm talking about when I mean karma, okay? When I'm talking about cause and effect and judgment being commenced. So we've just yesterday, the 23rd of September, we've had the autumn equinox. Equinox means equal night. So we are in the fall or the autumn part of the season, which is the harvest time, okay? Where you gather all of what is being grown. If you could dealing with it from if I put it from a nature-based, work in the land and so forth, these would be times where you'll be harvesting all of what you've grown, the good crop you put together, store it in the barn, you know what I'm saying, to tide you over through the winter. Now, this obviously depends on which part of or the hemisphere you're living in the world, in the planet. But dealing with where this broadcast is coming from, we're living in the northern hemisphere here. We're seeing all the four seasons. Okay, some countries just have a rainy season and a hot season. You see, certain places don't get no winter, no such thing. It's too close to your equator, so you're not, because it's close to the equator. You don't have those variables of weather patterns that we would get in the north, where we go through all of that. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. Not every region on the planet has all four seasons manifesting in those ways or expressing themselves. So where we are in the part of the world, we are experiencing what is called autumn, the fall. And it's also where we now are approaching that threshold where the days are no longer long as they were when we reached that summer solstice period in June. We are now where the nights are going to get longer and the days are going to get shorter. Okay, so yesterday was that balance where we had equal night, equal day. So balance, coming into balance after feeling imbalanced. Yeah, so this is the time to find a balance within ourself by returning to our center. At the same time, in the context of the energies, the transits that's been taking place, and the energies behind the activities that's been going on, collectively and personally or individually, you see. So there's been a lot of changes in how we're perceiving ourselves and what we've been believing in for so long, okay? And there's there is a there was something I was talking about last 2 Tuesdays ago about the timelines and decisions that we're making that is going to determine the state or the quality of the next 12 years of what we're choosing to experience for ourselves. Okay, so those 12 years is correlated to the cycle of Jupiter. Jupiter is about growth, expansion, development. It is the about higher consciousness, higher truth, the cosmic reality. It's about the consciousness expansion of the soul, and it represents the inner guru that exists within each and every one of us. It also represents, when you're looking in society, higher education, religion, belief systems, um, and what would be considered spirituality, which is usually through religion, religious systems. But spirituality is beyond the religious systems. Just letting you know. So, so when I'm saying just letting you know, there is a distinction. You see, when we use the term spirituality, it's not religious. Yeah, but religion has become an institution where it fosters certain beliefs and also imposes those belief systems you know upon folk. We have that when you're a child, when you're children, you're growing up in a religious family, you're going to have religion imposed upon you. Okay, so this stuff is what also contributes or contributes to what we hold in ourselves as beliefs that become inner structures in our consciousness, which then become the manifestation on a material plane of our beliefs. So we end up having experiences, or we experience our reality that is a reflection of the beliefs that are materializing or manifesting through us. Okay, so we're in this time where we have come out of this retrograde, where Jupiter being retrograde, Saturn's being retrograde, Pluto's being retrograde, and now these planets are going direct. Okay, so when you're dealing with a retrograde, you're dealing with a review. You're dealing with going within yourself and questioning maybe the status quo, or questioning the established beliefs um, that you could be holding on to, or people demonstrating or expressing around you. Now, wow, the time we're dealing with here now is where there's an opportunity to create. All right, let me retrack a second. There was also a stellium we had. When I say a stellium, it's like 4 planets in Virgo. Okay, and that was Venus, Mars, basically the Sun, Venus, Mars, and Mercury. Now we've had those energies, these archetypes within yourself have now moved into Libra. So the sun is now in Libra. So we're in the area of Libra, which is balance, and it's about relationships, the relationship with yourself and the relationships you're having, diverse relationships you're having one on one, or with, and with others. Okay. Now, most of these relationships for many a time have been based upon personality. Personality comes from the word persona, which is the mask, which is referred to the ego, but the personal self-image. The ego that is not really the real you is based upon this personal self-image that we've kind of developed from the early emotional imprints we have received when we were children, okay? Growing up and so forth, which shapes your feeling you have about yourself, which now becomes the way you feel about yourself becomes the emotional identity that formulates your personal self-image, okay? Which is now, which is developed, which has come into effect through your conditioning, okay? Your culture conditioning, your background story, your mother and your father, your sisters, your brothers, or whatever the situation in that dynamic, whatever the situation was. Some people didn't grow up with their parents, some people are orphans, some people were fostered, so this is what I mean. The background can be vast and complex, but these are what shapes the early imprints that you start to receive emotionally on how you feel about yourself, and what formulates your personal self-image that you feel you need to defend, okay, or protect or uphold. It's an idea. Yeah, it's really an idea of who you are. Who you are is beyond this self-image. So I did say in one of my shows, which was, I think it was not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, um, I was talking about Virgo and the full moon in Pisces. And I was saying that with the new cycle, when you're dealing with, because we had Venus and Mars conjunct in Virgo. So when you get a planet, when you get planets like Venus and Mars conjunct, these planets correlate to one another. You got the masculine and the feminine. This is what this represents. The Mars, the active principle, that which expresses, acts out, the freedom, independence to express one's intrinsic nature. And then you have Venus, which represents the feminine, which is the magnetic, how you feel about yourself, the relationship you have with yourself, which sets up the inner vibrations within you that is related to your pheromones and these hormones, which then attract to you the reflection of the inner vibration that you have correlating to the relationship you have with yourself. You see what I'm saying? The way you're relating to your own self. So this is, so, how you're feeling within, you see? So Venus is the feminine, which is more about the magnetic, that which draws you inward, is the feeling, the emotional impulse. And, it's correlated to beauty, harmony, socializing, and so forth. So we've had Venus and Mars conjunct in Virgo, which is an indication of a brand new cycle in relationships. So some relationships have come to a point where it's like, no, man, it's done, or you're coming to have a new relationship with yourself. Relationships are of so much different variety, but it's the ultimate one is the one you have with yourself. You see, how are you relating to you? Because that sets up your inner vibration, the inner mood, yeah? The energy you walk with, that becomes your vibration you put out, which then magnetically draws to you the reflection of what you're putting out, or the, so, so, yeah, I just got a call coming through here. Yes, so anyway, saying all of this just to kind of lay a pitch, a foundation here to kind of get where I'm gonna go with this, because oh gosh, just gotta send a message here, so bear with me a hand, gee whiz. So yes, so this new relationship to enter in with ourselves, but it's also a purification. It's time of purging from ourselves that which no longer works, or thoughts and emotions we're holding within ourselves, beliefs that we're holding on to that are limiting, that are not serving us, and it's not who you feel yourself to be or into, whatever you were interested into before. You're not feeling that same way anymore. Okay. And so this is a period where it's about stepping into or facing up to what you may be projecting upon others, what you have, you're suppressed, the shadow stuff, those insecurities, emotional insecurities, and stories of trauma that we keep repeating. There are certain things that keep coming up, um, in order to get cleared. But some folk make an identity out of these states. So there's a lot of energy blockages in the emotional body where a lot of people are, you know, they're out of touch with themselves. There's a lot of feelings that they disassociate with because, you know, it's too intense, too painful to feel. So a lot of people are out of their body, so to speak. They're not fully embodied, through the emotional body and able to feel, because everything at the emotional level is where everything's happening. You see, this is now you're dealing with the subconscious aspect of yourself and the vibratory nature of you that is being transmitted not just out into the world, but throughout the boundless universe. You're sending messages throughout the universe based upon your vibrational state, okay? Based upon your vibrational relationship you're having with yourself. So it's essential to begin to understand or perceive and get to grips with looking at yourself, understanding yourself as a vibrational energy being, not just flesh, blood, and bone. In order to understand these, messages and teachings that's being conveyed in this time, because it's for it's to assist for inner direction, inner guidance, because you know, there's a lot of there's a lot of things crumbling and and tearing down. But what you're seeing is the process of change that the old establishment, the old beliefs, the old foundations that have been corrupt, that things have been built upon, can no longer stand and be functional. In fact, you're observing a dysfunctional, state, basically. But there is a destruction, there's a deconstruction that has to take place in order to facilitate the change desired for something greater, something new and greater to be put in its place. Now, you can look at this on a larger scale when we're seeing the way things are breaking down in society. And but it's important to look at this from your individual place, because there's changes taking place within each individual's universe, and you are actually a universe. You're not a person. Things become difficult when our relationship with ourself is for misunderstanding. We don't have the correct relationship with ourselves, so one cannot relate with themselves and to themselves, therefore, in the correct way that enables one to be able to, feel that, when one says attuned to themselves, you know. So, so we're entering, a period where this change that has to take place from within, because that's where all changes take place, is on an emotional, mental, and physical. Because in Virgo's about digestion. Virgo's about healing. Virgo's about health. Virgo represents also the an ancient, mythological symbol of the goddess, right? The mother goddess energy. So you're dealing with a feminine energy where it's about going within and, in a way, analyzing or yourself, analyzing the thoughts you've absorbed, what you've digested. I said, in my previous show, the one before last Tuesday, about it, digestion isn't just about food, physical food, the food we eat, you know? There is an awareness arising, that awareness is expanding about health, and people are very concerned about, more aware about the physical food they take in, the quality of that food, you know? People are becoming more health conscious, so to speak, from a physical level. That's a good one. But from a physical level, it's focused on mainly to do with eating, healthy food, and you got all of this unnatural stuff, all of these contaminated things that being so-called made by scientists for with the intention of trying to better the world, when it just turns into that's just a smokescreen basically for controlling populations, and getting rid of uh, whom is considered to be um, unfit to survive, or just taking up space. You got folk who's sitting around making those type of decisions. You see, so there's these artificial foods and so forth, that and all the poisons and toxins that they put in them. There's a lot of awareness, more awareness now of what you put in your mouth, what you eat. You know what I'm saying? From health, physical food level. But the thing is, physical food isn't the only thing that you digest. When it comes to digestion, it comes to now your mental state. What thoughts, what images, what ideas are you digesting? What are you absorbing into you? Are they toxic or are they nourishing? Virgo deals with nourishment. What is nourishing and healthy? But as I said, it's not just about the physical food. It correlates to your mental state, you know? So what thoughts, what ideas, what images do you hold about yourself and about others? What do you allow your mind to absorb and take in? And when you go to sleep, when you go to rest, those kind of thoughts, those ideas, those images, are they nourishing to you, or are they toxic? Are they fearful? You see what I mean? So these forms of these thoughts, these images, these ideas that we hold on to, or what we're exposed to, or what we absorb, there's concern. There has to be also concern about being aware of the nature of the thoughts that you absorb, because they can be more detriment to your health than some of the food you're eating. You see. Now, then you got the emotional, which is you know the emotional body. What kind of feelings do you walk around with? What kind of feelings do you hold on to? You know, there's a lot of things that has impacted many folk. There's a lot of feelings people carry, which are not serving them. Basically, it's not nourishing emotions. It's toxic emotions. Just go with the polarity of the opposite, okay? Or they have become that way. They're not nourishing to oneself. So basically, this new relationship we are stepping into with ourselves has to be one of nourishment. And as we're moving into having the planets, the energies now moving into Libra, this is going to be also about, harmony, balance, rather than drama and catastrophe and all of that. But these things are set in motion more so in when we're talking from an empowerment perspective. These vibrations are set in motion from within ourselves, starting with the relationship, the kind of relationship we're having with ourselves, how we relate. So now I'm going to come to where these energies now, I'm going to come to Jupiter. Jupiter's going direct now. And Jupiter has been making a square to Neptune in Pisces. Now, a square is tension. Square is a tension point. Square is saying to you, there's a challenge. There's something there's a limitation There's something you got to go into yourself to resolve, okay, in order to get past this limitation. So I said to you that Jupiter deals with growth and development, and it's the ruler of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius, ultimately, Sagittarius is about the higher truth, wants to know what the total truth is. It wants to understand itself. It seeks the spiritual knowledge of oneself. It seeks to know oneself in more of a bigger picture, in a broader sense, the cosmic reality. Yeah. And we got the galactic center, which is at 27, 26, 27 degrees Sagittarius. So Jupiter's returned to its home sign, and Sagittarius is also about belief systems. This is the reason why it's related to higher education, or, on the societal level, it's related to religion, and it related to travel and other cultures and faraway places and adventure, you see? But on a spiritual level, it's dealing with the expansion of consciousness, the expansion of the light of your soul. Jupiter represents the inner guru rather than the outer guru that, many people go to India to sit at feet and to get some insight and enlightenment for them to help them improve their lives, or help them better understand who they are, beyond all of the programming and conditioning. But then people can get all caught up in worshiping personalities, worshiping the egos, the personal image, the self-image of these external symbols that represent to them whatever an individual holds, what meaning they symbolize to someone. This is why someone would be attached or create emotional attachment to a external guru. But the point is that it's about the inner guru. So Jupiter symbolizes that. But now, as I said about belief systems, Jupiter is squaring Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is about your spiritual connection, the ultimate connection, the way you connect and tune in to your spirituality, your inner self, okay? And how you connect to the ultimate source, or how you tune in, better to say, because Neptune looks like a tuning fork, yeah? So it chooses how you're tuning in to the ultimate reality, to wake up to the total truth of yourself. So that's Neptune, but it's squaring Jupiter in Sagittarius, which is now belief system. And that would represent the egoic state now, the belief systems people hold on to, which is limiting. Then they're not seeing that there's a larger picture. Neptune, the grandiose. You got the boundless ocean here. Pisces representing the boundless ocean of consciousness. So there is a bigger picture to tune into when it comes to knowing yourself and understanding what's going on around you, okay? And the changes, understanding the context, a bigger context in everything is taking place within. So there is a need to tune into one's spiritual will. This is Neptune in Pisces, okay? But there is a limitation based upon the beliefs people hold on to. So this is where you're getting this challenge. This is where you're getting this tension. This is where there is a feeling of experience of limitation, and how there could, you could be getting into, there are people having, real strong debates based upon what they're believing and what someone else isn't believing. And, oh man, all this kind of, you can have all of this type of distortion going on at the moment, where people are trying to convince their own selves with what they believe through having, challenging, or, contentious, that's the word, contentious debates with others because of what they're choosing to believe, okay? But it's also where beliefs that was held on to strongly before are now being reviewed, and no longer the desire to want to hold on to those beliefs as readily, okay? But then there's judgment in it too, especially if you're in a group mind that holds a certain kind of belief. and you now don't feel that you associate with that group as you did before. And now you're feeling more disassociated because you're not believing in things anymore. See what I mean? It's, as I said, Jupiter is about expansion, Sagittarius is about your belief system. So there is a need to expand your point of view that you're holding on to that determines how you interpret life and how you are perceiving who you are in relationship to others. So when Jupiter now is going direct, and when it passes that point where it's creating that square between itself and Neptune in Pisces, because Sagittarius and Pisces naturally square, yeah, they create a 90-degree angle to one another. So there's a natural tension between Sagittarius and Pisces. But the thing with that is that Sagittarius is seeking for the ultimate truth, and Pisces would represent that ultimate truth, but it would mean that there is a necessity to dissolve and let go of all limiting belief systems, because who you really are transcends time and space. Okay, so the belief systems that keep people in these boxes, in these prisons, that people also become prison wardens for themselves, keep themselves in prison, or to be prison wardens for others, monitoring what others people believe or what they should or shouldn't believe. You know, the thing is that the more you fight against what someone else thinks, the more they will think what they're going to think. You know, if they got a rebellious, streak to them, they will just, do something opposite to what you told them to do, just because you told them to do it. There's folks, and because they want to individuate themselves. But the thing is, sometimes we actually go against our own selves just to be stubborn. So we hold on to things that ain't really doing. It's not doing anything for you. In a sense, it's not helping. It's not nourishing. It's not helping you mature and grow, and it's not assisting you to be true to yourself. So Jupiter moving direct, there's going to become a point now that it's moving direct. You're going to feel more the need to tune into the greater picture, okay? And there are those who's going to begin to feel their inner being start, I can say they're beginning to feel more integrated. Yeah, it depends on which side, how you've been working yourself. It depends on what kind of harvest you're going to receive within this judgment. Because Saturn is moved direct on September the 19th. And this is now where the timeline is closed. Now the choices you've made back in April, back in March, now we're going to see, what healthy or unhealthy choices, you see, we have made. So there's going to be a lot of things rising up on the political level, government level, on those platforms, the world level, in the sense of the fear that's usually held in the collective consciousness. You're going to see a lot of things start being exposed and revealed here on levels where, wow, you never thought, it would get that, things would get that exposed. But this is what's going on now. So, wow, for some folk, it's going to be this, like you just feel you're coming home to yourself. And for some other folks, there's an end to certain things. Definitely relationships that are not based on core truth, not based upon the soul connection. What's going to happen? What's the energies, the wave of these cosmic tides is is bringing up more the need to have more deeper soul connections in relationships or as relationships, or starting with yourself. Whereas the relationships that are still going on with this personality, egoic stuff, it's these things are going to not be able to held together. Um, not without drama, if it is held together, which is not really holding something together. It's just trying to maintain a dysfunctional situation where folk ain't being real with themselves, projecting their needs onto another to fulfill rather than them meet their own needs. You see, a lot of displaced emotions are also, as many in our adolescent lives, you got a lot of displaced emotions that stemming from childhood and prior incarnations that get projected onto partners or onto others. You see what I mean? And so therefore there's more triggers, there's more things triggering folk to bring up their shadows so they can be more conscious of the unconscious, so they can integrate these aspects of themselves that they've been suppressing and just living out projections. You see, now is very, very important in this time to now be owning your projections, very much so. Yeah, waking up more to yourself as, the ocean of boundless consciousness, rather than identifying with the garments and the clothes that you wear or the personal self-image that you're trying to uphold, and live up to these shoulds and these artificial and unnatural beliefs systems based on societal and cultural conditioning. So this new relationship we are to have with ourselves, you see, this is the new cycle of the Uranus. The Venus and Mars. This new cycle of relationship. So this is why the full moon in Pisces also what you can say also represents a lot of endings, but it also represents the apex point, like something has come to a completion, right? So they can be like there's a realization that you're having within yourself emotionally, which is realizing your more of you as a spiritual being, or you aligning with your spiritual will, the higher will within you, as opposed to the limited beliefs that was keeping you in these groups that at first you may have felt a sense of belonging within them, but as you've continued in these groups, you find that you need something more. It's the same old stuff being said, same old stuff being taught, same old stuff just going around and churning, and you're finding that you're feeling more disassociated, because you're growing beyond that, and you're beginning to see the limitations in these belief systems or in the groups that carry certain points of views that is not nourishing to you. You have to ask yourself, is the belief I'm holding nourishing to my soul? Is the emotions and the feelings that I'm absorbing, or what I choose to put myself in, is this nourishing and empowering to me? You see, just like now, many people are more concerned about what they put in their mouth, the food they put in their mouth, more concerned about that rather than the emotional and mental state that they're in, you see? And no healthy food, so to speak, you're going to eat is going to be able to hold back an unhealthy, unnourishing emotional and mental state, because that's going to manifest itself in your body. You see, it's all about cause and effect. But a lot of us look outside and think outside's the cause, and then you're there now being affected inside yourself, and you're just the effect. When it doesn't work like that, it's just a forced perception, how you're perceiving a situation. All things life comes from the inside out. So what you see going on in society can be a reflection of the state, an inner state. So all the distortion you're seeing in society is a reflection of the diseased inner state that many people in society are walking around in. You see? So it's like an environmental mirror reflecting back to one the inner state one is in. And if there's going to be any change, then the inner state's got to change. You see? It's like you're like purifying and cleaning up yourself from the inside out. You know, as opposed to just be focusing on washing your body, you know, and putting clean clothes on. It's more than that. It's about purifying oneself within. Now, when I'm talking about purifying, we're talking about purifying your vibrations. You know, purifying your thoughts and feelings. What's no longer nourishing um, for one, you got to tune into these feelings and understand that you know these things. Therefore, you need to step away from, or you need to change. Okay, so Saturn now going direct, it's where this movement now, where the inner judge, and karma, and time, okay, and self-development, self-maturity, or self-mastery. This is where it's about coming back into your center. It's like coming back into your center where you can become a lighthouse. You got to become your own lighthouse, so to speak, your own guiding star, you know? You got to become your own lighthouse. You got to begin to now stand more into the integrity of yourself. Integrity means to be an integrated whole. You're standing as a whole being, an integrated whole being. That's integrity. A lot of people, some people may correlate integrity with the word morality to think it's about, oh, morals, right and wrong, moralistic right and wrongs, but it's not. Because morality is a subjective issue, and it's ambiguous. It depends on, you know, whose morals you're talking about, you see? But when I'm talking about integrity, I'm talking about it more from a realization point, you know, like a self-realization, realizing you're an integral whole being, rather than the beliefs that keep you holding on and the emotions to feel that you are less than or incomplete or not enough. You see, it's like what you see, beliefs that people can have and ideas that you hold can create so much inner emotional and mental havoc based upon whether those beliefs are nourishing or actually being oppressive to you. And we're the one that empowers empowers the beliefs we choose to become emotionally attached to. You see, but as I was saying earlier, this is the time to actually let go of these limited beliefs, to tune into your spiritual will. Realize there's a bigger picture that everything is taking place within. There's a bigger picture. And some of us are holding on to a picture that we're taking for the whole picture, and it's not, you see? So, and then these beliefs, a belief, basically what one believes determines how they interpret life. You see, a belief isn't just, you know, there's many beliefs, and you have an emotional response to something based upon what you believe. You see? So your emotional body can be healthy or unhealthy. Let's get this here. And as I said, Virgo's dealing with health, man. It's about the body and about the health of the body. And it's about the healthy mind and body, because the mind affects the body. Okay? And your emotional states also affects your mind and your body. They have a interplay with one another. But the emotional state is more powerful, because what you feel is going to override what you think. Because what you think may not be in alignment with what you feel. But what you feel strongly is what's going to win out in the end. You see? So the emotions, or energy in motion, is the magnetic impulse within us that actually gives form, brings form, brings form to what you are, the image you're holding on to, the thought, basically your creations. You're lining up with the vibration that is going to um, draw to it like vibrations. You see? So so there's a lot of there's a strong need to find this center and be true to yourself. Um, really, what is it that I really want to? What feels good to me that I know that I'm in alignment with myself when I move in this in a particular direction. You see, it's not about um, getting caught up, holding yourself back because of what others think or what others believe or what you may believe they think of you. Not wanting to be judged and all of that stuff. I mean, look, people are judging themselves, and then you have people judging others, and everyone is judging. Okay, the thing is that the judgment the judgment can hold you back based on fear, and fear is there's a lot of survival based emotions kicking off right now. People fearing what they're gonna how am I gonna do. A lot of people, there's so much changes in the areas like homes, people's homes where they're living, having to move, um, the relationships that they're having with siblings or members of the family, or uh, people they know, or relationships in the sense of men and women. In these days, they ain't the conventional relationships anymore. You got men and men and women, or so relationship period, right? There is this. There's a lot of triggering going on. Big. I mean, it's always been going on, but now there's an awareness. There's more of an awareness that there are things that need to change with oneself. Okay, or things one needs to let go, or there you cannot continue in that direction um, any further if you want something constructive to take place, because you're dealing with a destructive situation. So it's the choices we're making here, and these choices are being stimulated with the activity of the energies in the inner heavens right now, because it's all contained within. But you're looking at a mirror reflection, you can say, of what's representing what's going on within. And it's your choices that discern how you navigate through this. But there's definitely a very strong impetus of aligning with the soul, waking up to true source identity, rather than still holding on to these limiting beliefs that is just, you know, you got to, in order to grow, you got to come out of that which is limiting oneself to expand into a new direction, or to expand further. So it's only, individuals got to be true and honest to yourself, because Jupiter's also about truth and honesty. So it's where we have to be very true and honest to ourselves about what we're holding on to as a belief, and what you're supporting, and what you now giving your energy to. You got to be really true about and honest with yourself if those beliefs are actually or if you're actually, if that's in alignment with your heart. you know you see, the heart knows the truth. You see, the heart is the truth. The heart has its own time. The heart transcends the limitations of the intellectual mind. Okay, the heart the heart is also symbolic of the subconscious, or the unconscious subconscious. And everyone on an energetic level is having telepathic communication. You see, it's this energy field you got to be dealing with, because you're dealing with telepathic energy vibrations we send out is being picked up consciously or unconsciously through the unconscious subconscious of other individuals. Okay, you think about someone, how what you feel about them, you're broadcasting and sending that energy to them. This is being picked up by them consciously or unconsciously. You see what I mean? Based upon what kind of quality of energy where you feel about them, what you're putting out. You're sending that out to them. It's telepathic. Okay? The thoughts you hold. Thoughts is energy. You're sending them out. That's electric. Your thoughts are electric. The feelings, emotions are magnetic. So you got electrical magnetic impulses that, you know, mental emotional state, you are sending out vibrations based on your mental emotional state, you're broadcasting these frequencies. And you can be conscious or unconscious of the nature of the vibrations or the quality of the vibrations that you're sending out. And the way to kind of see what they are is to look what's going on around you. You know what I mean? What kind of relationships you in, what type of places you find yourself in, what kind of people are coming towards you. You see what I mean? These are ways to become more aware of what kind of vibrations you're putting out. You see what I mean? If you do care about becoming more conscious of your unconscious. But what I'm saying here is that everybody is telepathically broadcasting, okay? And telepathically transmitting the way they feel and think about themselves and others, and it's being transmitted not just into the world, but into the universe, to the boundless universe. And you're going to have those who hear you consciously or unconsciously, and that vibration, you see, that's the impression they're getting off you. They're getting your vibration. So this is how folk can draw to themselves that which reflects and matches the quality of the vibration, the emotional and mental vibrations they're putting out. You see? So what are you believing in? What you're believing in is also going to influence your mental emotional state. And if what you're believing in is now become a limited thing, it might have been something you needed to go through at a particular time, through for a particular period, but now, hey yo, it's like outgrowing some clothes, or outgrowing a certain habit, you no longer feel for it anymore, or it's uncomfortable, you see. And as I said, that what you believe determines how you interpret life, you see. So so all of this is what these energies, these transits are bringing this awareness to be more true to oneself, and to is it more about connecting with your spiritual will and going more within in this time, going more within and reflecting. um there has been plans, a lot of you're making plans and stuff, and a lot of plans may not be easily articulated or easily being formulated, or you have expectations and you're holding on to these expectations based on these beliefs. And the thing is that now we're moving into Libra, things that like trying to communicate clearly what your even to yourself or to others, what your plans and your ideas, or what you want to um structure or construct. Now that we're moving into Libra, we'll be able to communicate that more easier, you see what I'm saying, with others. But there was a difficulty prior to us having the sun Mercury now in Libra. So communication, now you're able to kind of get more clearer and communicate clearer what it is that what you've been planning within yourself. You see what I mean? So these are the energies, y'all. And some people are having a Saturn return right now, 28. So your Saturn return is about basically growing and maturing. You come to a point where the structure of your life now is being examined, and more time by 28, what you've manifested in your life is more of a reflection of your conditioning, more of a reflection of the the values, the beliefs you hold based upon the your background, your cultural conditioning, the society you grew up in. By 28, when you get your Saturn return, there's a review, an examination of what you've built. Do you really want this? Is this really integrally yours? Or is this all based upon your conditioning and you think you wanted this, but it turns out on a deeper level you don't? So people are going to find certain things falling away. Relationships just, it may have never worked, but you was in this kind of illusion aspect that it was. And then, you know what I mean, start to wake up and smell the coffee, as they say. And then now, you know, if you're in a Saturn return, you could be experiencing things like this. That relationship, just like, my gosh, what have you been spending your time in? So these things are coming to an end, but it's coming to an end for one to get in tune with clearer, more clearer with what it is they really do want to build. You see what I mean? So it's about growth and maturity and taking responsibility for yourself. You know, many situations we find ourselves in, we want to blame the other or other things and not look into ourselves to see where the level of self responsibility resides. There's a level of self responsibility, you know, um, for drinking too much or, you know, deciding to go to where you went and hanging about against, you know, staying there longer than, you know, you actually wanted to, you know, whatever. There's a level of self responsibility, man, that has to be taken into full consideration in this time, because you have to be responsible for yourself. You got to be responsible for your energy, your vibrations, you see, your thoughts, your feelings. There's a lot of toxic stuff that, you know, people have absorbed. So therefore, there's a need for a purge, a cleanse, a purification, an inward purification, vibratorily, because your emotions and your thoughts are vibrational frequencies. Even the food, but they're at, you know, but you look, your body is a vibrational energy field. So you're not even solid. So even the way to think, if one's beliefs are very, it's like even a phone can get upgraded every month, man. You know, got to upgrade. And some folk are dealing with some outworn belief systems. You see, outworn programs. I mean, some of the stuff is obsolete now. I mean, come on, you know. You see, but letting go of it is a different thing. So the limiting beliefs are coming up to, for, like, you know, there's a challenge, you can say, or a stress poison, attention build up to, for the release of those things, because you got to tune into the bigger picture, the wider reality, the broader reality of who you are, you see. So mm, so let me go play a tune here, because yeah, let me just break it up a bit, or pause up some things. So yeah, I'll go play something. I'm gonna play a tune from brother Otis Redding, and mm, it's a rendition of a track that you would be more familiar with someone like James Brown doing, okay? But there's a track here, and it goes a little something. Oh man, G. It's when you're dealing with these things, and techno. Um, yeah. So it goes a little something like this. Yeah. You got it. You got it, y'all. So yeah, that was Otis Redding, y'all. Papa's got a brand new bag and a brand new bag. Mm-hmm. What you have in this brand new bag cannot be filled up with sad. It's a brand new bag. So you got opportunity to step into a brand new way of relating to yourself. And really, what I was saying before I played this groove is, I'm going to put it this way. It's it's about the ultimate connection. See, when we talk about relationships, mm, how we relate to ourselves and how we relate to others, and this need for to psychologically, spiritually understand yourself. With this Neptune in Pisces, as I was saying at the beginning, the squares mixed with Jupiter in Sagittarius, it's about the ultimate connection over the limited beliefs we are holding on to, like for dear life, the separative um, nature of those beliefs, where there's conflict within oneself. There's a saying, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Now, you are that house that is being referred to. You are that temple. And, we can carry in ourselves conflicting feelings, thoughts, beliefs that are conflicting. And therefore, the nature of that vibration brings to you, it's like creates a confusion field around, in a sense. You draw to yourself a lot of conflicting um, situations with people or circumstances. Circumstance means to stand in the circle, in the center of a circle. So what's surrounding you? So Neptune is saying, listen, man, it's about connecting. It's about the ultimate connection. The ultimate connection. That's what it's about. It's not about these limiting erroneous beliefs that, a lot of them is theologian, a lot of them are historical narratives. Um, a lot of them are coming up from past trauma, which are coming up in order to be cleared. Um, but more times they're being energized, okay? They're being energized, which then manifests in the world as, yeah, a lot of the old tensions of the old disputes, the old racial stuff, the old, you know, man and woman stuff, there's a lot of the old traumas, ancestral stuff, the sins of the fathers, they put it, which are basically known scientifically as congenital thoughts, congenital inherited, beliefs, which you pass on conditions onto your offspring. Um, your beliefs also carry the mental, emotional, and then physical imprints of what those mental and emotional states manifest from the beliefs. So these are passed on as well. And they get continued. This is what you call ancestral stuff. But you got ancestral stuff which is based on a lot of trauma. And these come up as the beliefs passed on, the way one feels about themselves. It continues, yeah. Certain mindsets, certain states can get perpetuated, and this is where now to understand yourself as an individual and to understand your power, your place of empowerment is that you are the one that makes the decision in yourself to continue along the lines of beliefs and emotions that keep you in a place that that is contracting and not enabling you to grow. Beliefs that keep you in a place of fear, beliefs that keeps you in a place of, you know, yeah, strong emotions like hatred, resentment that gets turned and internalized inwardly, you see? And those feelings affect and mess up you, you know? And people who are on a similar wavelengths, um, they are amplifying other people, other millions of minds in the world that are on similar wavelengths. So there's a lot of those things. Again, as I'm saying, that's your vibration, what you're putting out, man. You know, what we put out is being broadcast. Like a radio transmitter, receiver is being broadcast through you because you are more than just this flesh and blood. Every thought you think is energy. Every feeling you have is energy. Okay? So so there is a need to break free from limiting and continuing um, disagreeable states. Okay? There was a time when I was, we had this term when I was in this school of thought many years ago. This term, agreeable and disagreeable beings. And there was a time when folks would believe that if one's disagreeable, that means that they're evil, and if they're agreeable, it means that they're good. And a disagreeable being doesn't mean that you're evil, okay? It's not the way to interpret those things. You see, I would say it in this way. Agreeable is like a way of saying you are in harmony. You are in accord. Yeah, you are in an integral state. And disagreeable can be ones who are not in harmony. They're in discord within themselves. There's a duality of or a mindset of separation. So then you can then ask yourself, are the thoughts and feelings I am holding on to, are they agreeable? Are they harmonious for me? It's like, when you eat something, some people would say, they eat something and, they got a stomachache or stuff. They would just say, yo, this thing didn't agree with me. Yeah. And, so there was a disagreeable experience after eating that food. And they say, yeah, man, this thing didn't agree with me, man. So they kind of keep away from that, for example. They maybe some people like to go back to things that still weren't good. Some people are, you can become you can be addicted to drama. You can be addicted to toxic stuff, but because that's all that's what you're used to, So too much quiet could turn some people start flipping out because they're not used to that stillness and calm. They're not used to sacred spaces. They're used to a whole of agitation and thing, and dysfunctionally functioning within that. But what I'm saying is that, this agreeable and disagreeable can be seen as, are you in agreement? Are you agreeable? Are you Are you in agreement with yourself, or are you in disagreement with yourself? You see how it goes? But the thing is, these limiting beliefs keeps people in just mental concepts and usually trying to convince others through what they're believing to really convince themselves. Because if you're very strong in what you believe and you feel it's agreeable for you and it works, you just move like a silent missile. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Towards the target of whatever it is you want to hit, and you don't need to be consulting anybody because you're comfortable with whatever it is you believe. But then we do know that there is a higher state beyond believing. There is the direct knowing, because we carry within us, as us, the very divine life force, consciousness, intelligence of source. Whether you want to say God, the creator of all that is, the universal intelligence, this source can be called by, has many names. People call this source by all kind of names, all kind of things. But it's like, what is your? It's about this ultimate connection. It's about this direct connection with this authentic reality within the divine life force, consciousness, intelligence of the universal source of existence. And it's actually the only reality. Consciousness, divine consciousness, intelligence, the divine life force, energy is the only reality. You see? On the show last Tuesday, when me and Sada was having a discussion, there was something he mentioned about the difference between spirit and matter. And there would be something I will inject here and say on that just come to my mind as I was just saying what I was saying just now. You see, about the life principle. You see, when you deal with the physical realm, when you're dealing with forms, okay, if anyone's even seen a dead body or even something, a living creature that is no longer animated, when you go into deep states of concentration, meditation, contemplation, you could come to an awareness, okay? Not everyone, but you can come to awareness where you realize that what is animated, okay, the forms, the bodies we carry, our personal self-image, what is animated doesn't really have any real life within it. It is that which animates the form. It is the intelligence and animative power, life, divine life force, consciousness, intelligence, which is self-organizing and self-defining, self-created. And that is the only reality. When we're talking about reality here now, that which, has no, that which was never born, that which can never die, that which is timeless, that which has no beginning, that which has no end. You see, that which is invincible, that which is indestructible, that which is indestructible. You see, that very nature, that very essence, the divine life force, you can also say the father, mother, life consciousness, because it is a twin power. There's no duality in this identity of, masculine, feminine, and, it doesn't even, who you are don't even have such limiting states of identity. You transcend those labels that are really just used on more of the physical plane, the human consciousness or the material consciousness level, to just put things in categories in order to be able to deal with things. But in reality, whom you are transcends these labels, But there is this twin power, this creative impulse within the constitution of one's soul, which is a unique expression of that infinite source of all life. And therefore, the only reality is this divine life force, consciousness, intelligence, that I am, that is the I am within, the I am I, the I within, the eternal I, the invincible I, the immortal I, the timeless, no beginning and no ending I, you know? That's the only reality. And forms, this body and matter, as we look at matter or would see as matter, doesn't really have no life in it of its own self. So that's why when the life principle, the consciousness intelligence, the actual identity of oneself, the intrinsic nature, withdraws its part of its focus and attention from the physical vehicle is inanimate. You see somebody when they've passed. You see people in their coffin, or you see people in the morgue, and they could be, a relative, your father, or or a parent, or a sibling, or a friend. But if you've seen, a body that you used to see this person now, we're not a person, but the person is the mask. So you're seeing this form, you remember sitting there laughing with them, joking, or even, whatever relationships you had. But the thing is, you remember shaking this person's hand and talking with them, and they're there, their body's animated, you're thinking you know them, they know you. But then you're seeing this body just motionless, and it's never going to get up. It's not going to roll over and go, oh, gee, dang, I was just having a nap, It's rigor mortified. It's rigid. That's it, man. And it makes you ask the question, therefore, who is it that you thought you knew? Who is it what is the realness of that individual for you to hold on to? Apart from just a memory of a body being animated and who you are identifying with them as, and, they're the label you're given to this form and all of that. Who was that real? The only reality that really is what of true value or lasting value is the essence of that being. And that essence of that being is the divine life force, consciousness, intelligence, as is the essence of I, the essence of each individual. And therefore, it's a case where when you kind of contemplate, just the body, but, when there's no life force in there, when it's withdrawn, when you've drawn that aspect of yourself from the body and moved into your grander, non-physical self, that body has no life, no animation, no consciousness, awareness, nothing. You see what I'm saying? It's an empty shell. It's an agitation of electrical particles. Okay, it's energy in the sense of you're dealing with, what? Electrical particles fused together into elements, atoms, and then you get your molecules, and then you get your cells, and then you get your living organism, you see, that grows from these cells, from a plant to ourselves as big adults, or a baby, is all built upon cells, But before the cells, you see, you're dealing with the very life force, consciousness, intelligence that those electrical particles was drawn out from. That was the intelligence within the fusing together of those electrical particles to create the elements or atoms. For then now the atoms to then now these elements to materialize into what become molecules that then break down in chemicals to become molecules to then become cells, And the cell's intelligent. A cell will move towards what is nourishing If you see a cell in a petri dish, it will go towards something or a sugar that it was that if what is nourishing for it, it has the awareness and intelligence to be able to discern what's nourishing for it to move towards it, to what is toxic for it to move away from it. And that's the intelligence you're seeing in a cell. And a cell can also has the awareness and the intelligence to know what to absorb the nourishment or what is nutritious from what it's taken in to nourish itself. And it has the awareness to know what is not useful for it anymore, what it cannot sustain itself with, and it excretes it, you know? It gets rid of it out of its system. So that's a cell is doing all of that. What we as, in the big bodies and so forth, we do. What you put in your mouth comes out the other end, right? A cell has the intelligence to know all of this. So, so, so what I'm saying is that before the cell, there was consciousness intelligence, life force that, look, the cell is animating and moving, you see, and is intelligent and conscious and aware, all right? But that's a vehicle for consciousness intelligence. Before the cell was a molecule. The intelligence, the consciousness was in the molecules. For the molecule to know how to become a cell, the intelligence behind that. You got the elements, huh? There's consciousness intelligence, which was behind the fusing of electrical particles to create these atoms, as we say, And when you look at things like this, you begin to realize that you're dealing with a formless living reality that creates the houses it dwells within, creates the vehicles and the forms it expresses itself within, creates the personalities that are going to become its lens that it experiences a certain aspect of itself through, you see? And that is the only reality that remains after what one would say the body, Oh, there's a beginning and there's an ending people call death. But there's no such thing as death. I mean, the West is where there's been so much suppressed and unhealthy attitude towards death, when death is like letting go. Well, eventually letting go and surrendering to the life force, the divine consciousness, which they call God. Give yourself up to God. But it's no sky God. It's not something external. This is an internal reality, you see? So it's about the ultimate connection. And the thing is that this source, you may have heard the term, you have synonymous, love and God and love, you see? Synonymous. Well, God, that word is just, got a lot of theologian, and personality, a person, type of stuff attached to it. But if we say consciousness, all right, which I've just said, divine consciousness intelligence, instead of God, but say, well, that's God I'm talking about. And then you turn around and you say, okay, so love, well, that's the life force energy, the love energy. Yeah. This is the primordial. This is when you're dealing with the primordial energy. Yeah. And people, that word gets used like, ooh, primal fear, primordial, something deep, dark, and vast, and unfathomable, and scary. This primal, but prime means first. Yeah. And when you're talking about primordial, you're talking about that which was the first creation. And that's the prana, the chi, the sekhem. In ancient Kemet, sekhem is life force. In China, you got chi. In India, you got prana. In the West, you got argon, you know what I mean? Or orgon, But you're talking about divine life force. And this divine life force energy is consciousness intelligence. It's the love force energy. It's the love energy that is the true essence of ourself, you see. But it's pure consciousness awareness. It's formless. It is this self-organizing intelligence that is operating your body. 90% of your body is unconscious, is operating through the subconscious. So you're not even conscious of the intelligence that is operating through your body right now to keep it, to keep every cell, you know, built up, functioning, doing what it's supposed to be doing, and keeping it healthy. You see? So there's this intelligence that you cannot see, but it's doing its love works regardless. Yeah. So there's this. So so with what I'm saying about this new relationship, which I was talking about in the second to previous show, when I was talking about Virgo and the full moon in Pisces, this is bounced off from that, and part of what the show I talked about. I was the show I did last Tuesday, which was about the non-physical, spiritual, and physical, visible, yeah, self. So it's about the ultimate connection. This is what you are being. This is what the energies are pulling on, or emerging from the deep. The depth of oneself, to let go of these limiting beliefs. But the thing is, it's not a forcing you to let it go. It has to come through, hey, yo, man, you realizing, you see, um, the fears that we have been conditioned in, these things have to be, we got to let go of them, because these are just very much illusions. But we energize these things because we're the life that, when we focus attention upon a belief, a thought, an idea, a thing, you know, we're sending life to that. You see, it's like, if you realize that you're the life force power, you're the life force intelligence, then you realize how valuable, currency. They call money currency, right? So you are that infinite currency, you're that infinite wealth, because it, everything in this society, or in the way it's set up, is to it's everything's set up to capture your attention, because where attention goes, energy flows. So when you're focusing attention on something, it's like you're lighting it up, and now energy to it, now it's becoming alive, it's animated, it's manifesting. You see what I mean? But it's not what you want to manifest, it's what others want to manifest, and getting your energy through your attention to flow your life energy to it in that way, your love to it. Yeah. Rather than closing your eyes, turning away from the outer world to enter into the inner world of the inner realms, the higher realms. And when they talk about what the kingdom of heaven is within you, heaven is symbolizing the higher states of consciousness, your higher vibratory self. When you're stretching, you know, um, when you're reaching up, the whole idea of, reaching up, symbolically is representing represents that you're reaching for the highest vibration, your higher state of your true self. You see, not the corporeal self-image, programmed ideas, beliefs about what you have of yourself, about you and about others. And this is what you're walking around with, a belief, defending and scared of dying. You see, because it's only the illusion that will have a fear of death. Because death just means the letting go, where it's usually perceived by the human ego personality as the end. And many people fear the end because of emotional attachment to that which they feel, was given them a sense of security. And the removal of this that they're emotionally attached to is being experienced like a severing of a limb, and the pain of losing something, or being something taken away from you. You see, these come from our separative beliefs, you see. So with what I was saying about today is really moving with connecting three shows together. The one that I did with Virgo and a full moon in Pisces, where I was talking about the new relationship we can be entering into ourselves, the new relationship cycle. because it conjunct in Virgo. So Virgo is about, the mind and body health. Virgo is about what we emotionally, mentally, as well as what physically digest. And their and the completeness and the purity, the goddess energy that Virgo represents. It's about seeking inwardly for this completeness, which is the perfection, an inner perfection or inner completeness or wholeness, rather than looking outside in the exterior for some, man-made idea of what is considered perfect that then, people are trying to achieve and feeling very miserable and very, very self-critical to themselves if they don't match up to it. That idea of perfection, you cannot add up to it because that ain't really true perfection. Virgo is about understanding the completeness. You have to go within yourself and realize that, this emptiness that's there, this is really your way, your doorway into the vast ocean of consciousness yourself. Pisces is the polarity opposite. So we're going to have a new moon in Virgo, and we had a full moon in Pisces, right? So this new energy, this new relationship, this now realization, this illumination in the awareness of, yeah, it's not just the food that I eat, man. It's about my emotional and mental state. What kind of emotions am I absorbing? What kind of mental thoughts, ideas, concepts am I holding on to? Are they nourishing to me? Are they nourishing my soul? You see, because Virgo is about health, and Virgo knows that the health of the body is dependent upon its vitality, vitality, the divine life force, the amount of divine life force flowing through it, you see. And that Virgo squares Sagittarius. Sagittarius represents the vitality, you see, vitality. So ital, life. And then Pisces represents the totality, realizing your total self, the perfection, the completeness of yourself. You see, that's what it means. Holy, wholeness. You see, that would seem blasphemous from theologic beliefs or limited beliefs people hold on to. Yeah, would believe like what? But it's perfect. Just look up the word, man. It means complete. Somebody say, oh, it means something's come to an end. Complete. It's complete. Yeah, but understand it in its context of that it's whole. It's complete. There's nothing more that needs to be done to it. You cannot take from it. It doesn't, or add to it. There's no need. Yeah. So this wholeness is really our true intrinsic nature. Being made in the image or being drawn out from the image and likeness, just using it in that term, of source, which they call God. And God is perfect, whole within itself. That's what perfect means. So Virgo is about that purity. Pure means clear. Having a pure vibration, right? Emotionally, mentally, physically. Well, will manifest physically as the vitality, the health, and the glow in the body. But it's also to have living thoughts and emotions that are alive, full of life, that are wholesome, nourishing, you see. So this new relationship is also about what we're emotionally and mentally digesting. Okay, starts with ourself. Because Virgo is also about self-improvement, self-development, self-adjustment. You see what I mean? Self-analysis. So one can remove impediments or that which is not essential to one's well-being in order to align with that which is whole. And now we're talking about the ultimate connection, the ultimate absolute connection to have, relationship to have with oneself. This is about source within, not no sky god up there in the sky, and you have to serve it through suffering and all of that nonsense. Those things have just made people absorb a lot of guilt and not feeling that they're enough, and a lot of self-criticism to the point with that internalization, it is only flaws and faults and criticism and judgment that they look out to the world with and look upon others, with, you know. You find people always want to focus on faults, not on what's, working, in the sense, some folk think they need to criticize you and put you down in order to encourage you to be better. Free, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, you see, rather than just, hang on a minute, focusing on, yeah, man, the strengths that they see being demonstrated, the qualities that they see and expressed, that are saying, yeah, man, well, focus on those positive qualities, because what you focus on amplifies. But you see, a lot of people have a twisted up belief that makes you believe that actually putting someone down, criticizing them, not giving them the encouragement that they need, that they will try harder to be better, even when they're doing great and you're not contemplating, you're not complimenting them on the great stuff that you see them do. You're holding that back and giving them, well, you could do better. Oh, that wasn't so good, instead. And that's somehow supposed to make them get better. You see, these reverse kind of psychological dysfunctional type of things we then hold as these beliefs and we pass them on. And then we end up actually doing a lot of wrong to folk rather than the good that you think you're just being conditioned to believe that's you're doing some good. But that's, what makes you believe you believe that, but you haven't thought through it. You see? So you're dealing with Virgo, you're dealing with Sagittarius, which is the belief systems, and Jupiter dealing with the growth and expansion of your soul consciousness. You see what I mean? To know the nature of your soul. And then Neptune in Pisces is about the ultimate connection. You see? So, yeah. So this is what it's called, the ultimate connection. It's about making this ultimate connection or waking up to the realization of who you are in the bigger picture, meaning the universe, the universal context, right? Beyond just some world, some idea of what, of a world, beyond just that worldly idea, the worldliness, no, man, it's like you have a context, a larger context in what you fit in. You fit within a grander context, and that grander context is universal. It's the cosmic context. Yeah? Knowing your relationship to the universe in you and around you. You are an incarnation, individualized incarnation of the universe. Okay? So the divine life, consciousness, intelligence, the divine life principle, the animated force. This is the reality that lives on after the animated that which is animated, the animated form, has no animated power in it. It's being withdrawn back into the magnitude of your true self, you see? So, yes, I'm going to rest this up this evening on this note. So, the ultimate connection starts with that realization of yourself, you see. So, limited belief systems, they're going to have, they need to be dissolved in order to expand your consciousness to a wider, broader reality of yourself. Attune to your spiritual will. Realize you are a part of a grander picture, a universal picture, yeah, so to speak, or a universal consciousness. You are related. You're related to that relationship. You see, we're moving into Libra now. So relationships, the ultimate relationship is the one with yourself. And through that, there is a mirroring of the relationships you have, the diversity of relationships you have with others. Yeah. And Libra's also about really standing or finding that balance, that harmonious, that center within oneself, standing as an integral being, having integrity as an integrated whole being, realizing you are an integrated wholeness of consciousness, you see? And you're not divided against yourself. Only if you step out of the integrity, the realization of that, and get caught up in the judgment that splits you off and make you see yourself as separate, and it's tug of war and all of that type of thing. You're not perceiving yourself as whole, which is what you truly is. So Libra, now there's going to be more able to communicate the plans that was going on the within the Virgo period, and now we're moving into Libra, and it's about able to now communicate with others more clearly the plans, what, or to yourself, or to integrate this now more um, clearly within yourself, and to see where the limited beliefs, that was what's been coming up, what needs to be let go of in order to merge with that which is larger, which with that which you're related to a larger picture, to the larger context, which is universal, So it's about the ultimate connection, which is the connection with source, which is love, energy, divine life force, intelligence. So, yeah. So on that note, the ultimate connection is what I went round in my own way to talk about this evening. The ultimate connection with the source within, and to wake up to your true inner nature, for you to know the nature of source, so you now experientially are knowing thyself through direct perception, not through just a mental idea. And that turns into another belief again. That can be turned into dogma and all of this stuff. So the ultimate connection, y'all, and stepping into a new relationship with yourself, the relationship with your soul, the source, your source within you. All right, so have a good shadow hour, y'all, and wish you all the best. And if you like what you be listening to, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. And yeah, I will be back with you again next Tuesday on the Cosmic Roots Show, Cosmic Reality of One's True Self. So until then, yeah, stay shining.